conversations around the economy and the financial markets. Today we're looking at the implications of COVID-19 on private capital investments. This is very critical at this time. We need investments to drive our economy to really ensure that amidst the pandemic, we achieve stability and inclusive economic growth. With me to lead this conversation is Mr. Michael Abayomi Osho, Group Managing Director, Asset and Equity Limited. Good morning, Mr. Michael Abayomi.
Hi, good morning.
Nice to have you.
The WebTV guy.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And with me in the studio is Mr. Bosun Mofaye, CEO of Frontier Africa Reports.
Good morning. It's good to see you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Very good, very good. So discussing something that you always
Thank you,
emphasizing,
Michael.
and you have Michael today to give us further insight into it. So Michael, how's the lockdown experience been?
Well, so
easy
far,
now.
so good. We're trying to be compliant. I mean, not only just being compliant, but we're all trying to save our lives. We're all trying to be, as much as possible, trying to be responsible citizens to stop the spread of the virus, which is more of a common enemy to all. So we hope that at the end of the day, everything goes as planned and we're fine.
Okay. So let's begin by looking at how we can really attract this private investment, because it's very key at this time. Government revenue is challenged, low oil price, and we're still even trying to manage our debt profile and stability. And so there's winning strategies that is very important, holistically expand the private investment space in our country. Let's first start with the role of the regulators in the capital market and operators. We know that the Securities and Exchange Commission has been trying to do some mobilization. Looking at COVID-19, they've engaged the capital market community in a $1 billion initiative to see how they can support the country and its economy. And they are also now, yesterday in a release, encouraging the operators to bring out innovative solutions this period in driving the markets. They're encouraging that. What more can be done in this space by regulators? Don't forget that the Central Bank of Nigeria had written a 40-page paragraph.
The last one?
Yes, looking at how they can really incentivize the economy, particularly the Infraco PLC, which is to serve as a vehicle for improving transportation infrastructure and drive the economy, which is very key at this time. So, Mr. Michael, what are your thoughts on the roles for regulators at this time to really attract this private investment? We need it at this time. We need all of it.
Okay, first of all, thank you. The thing is, I'll start by saying charity begins at home. Attracting private investment must first of all start from discouraging basic quoted investment into quoted entities. And by coming up with the roles of regulators, you see, I've read some release by the Securities and Exchange Commissions saying, especially, there are some areas of private investment, such as crowdfunding, that was initially not regulated, that have been, the space have been left to some new fintech companies that have been coming up with different, either like GoFundMe, like all these tech startups trying to make proactive measures to ensure that people can fund different kinds of business, more or less like P2P, person-to-person kind of funding. And then, the involvement of regulators saying that those kind of funding will now have to go through certain
regulation might also discourage some of this, because if you look at this tech startup guys, many of these guys don't even have the structure to go through the regulatory procedures that the Securities and Exchange Commission will be putting in place. That is one angle to it. Then two, if you look at the effect of COVID-19 as it is, already foreign investment is not coming in. We shouldn't be overly optimistic that anybody from any other country is going to bring in any funding into Nigeria at this time. Even by the end of fourth quarter 2019, it's already the signs are already showing, especially. Hello, are you there?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Especially with the introduction, with the reduction of interest rates by the federal government, lowering between the space of 5 months, lowering interest rate from about 11% to 3% that we have. This naturally discourages people coming from outside the country to bring in funds. And
what you can now do is to encourage your local investors to channel their energy to directly productive activity, which is the private investment. So regulators, in my opinion, regulators now need to take a relaxing role, a welcoming position to allow, in a way, to allow people with good intentions to garner some form of energy to build this space, to nurture some businesses that cannot outrightly go out to the public to raise funds, that not even have the prowess to attract funding. And if you say you want to, if the regulators insist on trying to force things, trying to force regulation on this kind of small SME processes of raising funds, it might degenerate into something not so friendly for the economy.
Okay.
I think I need to I'm allowed to quickly intervene here. I understand where Michael is coming from when it comes to issues around crowdfunding, but I think I would straight away say don't think I'm in support of relaxing the rules.
Yeah.
And these are my points.
For all those innovations.
Yes. Innovation is good.
Good, yeah.
But innovation, when it comes to money moving and changing hands, becomes a total different kettle of fish. You can innovate, you can ask your family and friends, you can approach anyone. But again, once you roll out a package of which deposits or money is being collected from people, then some form of financial conduct oversight has to come in here. And I think that's jurisdictions have what you call the Financial Conduct Authority.
That's the UK.
The UK. They're not essentially the central bank, and they're not essentially the capital market authority. So perhaps not the central bank, perhaps not the SEC. We need to find a way in which we need some form of financial conduct authority in place. I don't think in the best interest of everyone that we should allow folks to just set up any form of crowdfunding arrangement and allow them to take money from everyone. The intentions are good, but we all know that sometimes the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So people want good intentions, they want to support small businesses. I'm starting out an enterprise and I'm finding out that I need funding, for example. But again, if someone is going to say, okay, take this and let us use crowdfunding. I love crowdfunding idea. It exists everywhere in the world. However, we need to establish some form of conduct. When you take people's money or asking for other people's money, conduct comes in, accountability comes in, transparency comes in. So not every company can go to the stock market or the NESD or the FMDQ as a startup. But we need to be careful here before we chase the regulators away or ask them to step aside and allow everybody to have a free market or a field of play in which all kind of crowdfunding, because once there's a problem in the financial services industry, once money changes hands, 2 doors are usually knocked, or 3. The first is the central bank, the second is the SEC, and the third, the securities exchanges. Because if we remember very well, the years of what you call the after the IPOs, then you have the what do you call it again? Private placements, the PPOs, and folks were doing private placements. Some of these never came to the market. Some came to the market in the last 3 days. Some last 24 hours. And billions and billions of naira went down till today. We're yet to account for these people's money, which was private placement. Private placement is a Siamese twins of crowdfunding in a manner of speaking. Okay? So, because it's private, because so we need some form of oversight. I don't know, I'm not saying we should create another agency. Maybe it is time to look at the Central Bank again Act and see whether we can have a department of financial conduct within the Central Bank of Nigeria without setting up another agency altogether. Nobody should set up any agency, even if you are putting Bolson as the head. I don't want. So, please, maybe we should have a financial conduct within the Central Bank that will not have what you call the strict regulations of the SEC. And you understand the role of the SEC. SEC in every jurisdiction in the world
It's an apex regulator.
It's not just an apex regulator. It has taken you to the hangman because the rules of securities markets are so tough in every jurisdiction all over the world. In fact, you can commit capital punishment, first-degree murder, and get away with 25 years or so. If you commit a fraud in the securities market, you get 75 years. You get 100 years.
Yes.
Madoff is still serving God knows how many multiple life sentences. In Nigeria, we've seen a stockbroker get 75 years and is still appealing, trying to get out of it. He hasn't. And that's about 10 years ago or so.
Yeah.
So I agree that crowdfunding is a beautiful idea. I like private capital. But then someone has to be somewhere helping us to be sure that those who have good intentions don't mix with those who have bad intentions.
Yeah. And I think the International Organization of Securities Commission, the IOSCO, they work out frameworks to see how even their member regulatory bodies can even work out something around.
Yeah, I love it so much because it can't stop innovation. Yeah. But then I just want to be sure we prevent the bad guys.
Okay, Mr. Michael, I know you want to respond. You can go on.
I said, when you are done, I'd like to say something of that.
No, you can respond.
Oh, okay, good. You see, by saying regulators should relax, I'm not entirely saying regulators should back out. Or I'm not saying regulators should hands off, that regulators should not take a role in this whole thing. But my point is the rule of engagement, the rule of monitoring these innovations have to be in context of the nature of these players. We cannot force people who have not gone through this. For instance, these technology guys, some of them don't wear suits. Some of them don't even have this many of these professional qualifications that we attach a lot of value with. But they tend to come up with these brilliant ideas, and they do it really well. And I'm just saying that regulators need to strike a balance. Hello, are you with me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yes.
What I'm saying is regulators need, especially for a period such as this. It may not be forever. Just like when your house is, if you have a fire outrage in your house, like if fire is burning in your house, right? You can use any water around to kill the fire first. You don't say, oh, this water is drinking, this water is for taking my bath, then you leave the fire to keep burning. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand you.
So that is the context where I'm coming from. We need to, because at this point, let's see this as a business. The two critical things every business does is try as much as possible to increase your revenue and try to reduce your spending. That is your outflow. So now, you have been generated by the pandemic, and you are almost sure that money is not coming in from everywhere for some time. So you want the local money, you want the local velocity of money to very, very quick as possible, so that money can touch certain hands, certain productive hands as quick as possible, and it can help. It can help, because right now we are saying we have about 80 million Nigerians living below the poverty line. Now, if we continue to say the way we have been running, when everything is normal, when everything is okay, is exactly the same way we are going to run now that we have an emergency at our hands. Then we will be forcing more people to join that 80 million people. And that is what no economy wants. So that's my point.
Okay, I get you, because both of you.
Yeah, I agree completely.
We need to balance.
We need to review some of those things in terms of easy access to credit, easy access to finance, easy access to capital. Yeah. Like he said, you don't have to have a financial services firm based in Ikoyi, Broad Street, Victoria Island, some posh offices in Lekki before you can access credit or capital. That is the underlying thing here. So I think there's a time for a bit of more holistic, maybe review of the Investments and Securities Act, and I'm saying that in good faith.
A very holistic, like crowdfunding and all those other
crowdfunding, creativity, and what have you. Guys in ICT, guys in intellectual property, and what have you. I think it is time to review. Maybe when this pandemic and all is down, we should take the ISA back to the National Assembly. Or maybe it's time to even start working on it. Because again,
bill, it was supposed to be signed by the president, the CAM Bill 20.
The Companies and Allied Matters Act is one thing, and it will be good for review. That is also being done. Yeah. But the Investments and Securities Act need to be repositioned, that is no longer looking like a job for the boys with Italian suits and Gucci shoes. That is what Michael is saying, and that is what I'm saying. Yeah. Investment and Securities Act is saying that don't go there unless you are out of Harvard and you've worked with Goldman Sachs, you've worked with Bank of America, and your CV, you have Stanbic IBTC on your CV, and if you don't have that, or Chapel Hill, then you can't go near using the ISA. I think we need to make the ISA a document of today. Yeah. Because again, look at what the administration is trying to do to encourage the various hubs across countries for small and business enterprises, the SMEs, which is shared by the Office of the Vice President. That is good. That's working with these business hubs, innovative hubs, tech hubs across the country. Yeah. But again, is the investment and securities market in tune with that? Is he aligned with that? Are the rules of the Investment and Securities Act too tight to allow these folks to come in? So they just want to remain where they were. So if they have a very creative ideas of funding their own businesses through crowdfunding, fine. Let us ease the Investments and Securities Act and make it truly an Investment and Securities Act, and not a kind of holy book. And not some kind of holy books made for certain clergymen, rather than for the entire congregation. Yeah, it should be for the congregation, not for the laity. So let's have an ISA that's a bit of a laity clergy dichotomy. Let's have an ISA that the guy who is wearing, folks like Bill Gates when he started, and Steve Jobs and the rest of them, Mark Zuckerberg wearing some mufflers, whatever.
All of them.
So that is how we should now make the ISA. Definitely. Rather than make it look like one book in one corner. If you're sure your CV does not include JP Morgan and whatever, don't go there. Don't even read it.
I think two quick things I take away from Michael. You say regulations, particularly like the ISA, should be inclusive, taking not just the major established formal, but all those creative solutions coming in. And then from Boston, you talked about having a very well coordinated financial kind of authority. Where they look at financial innovations and the markets, build it and make it vibrant. Yeah. Now let's look at something around waivers on capital importation, and even waivers that can really enable private investment, policies from the fiscal side. And yesterday we heard the president approved a blanket waiver of import duties for medical equipment and supplies as part of efforts to strengthen the health infrastructure in response to COVID-19 pandemic. That is a very laudable step to support the healthcare industry. But there are other industries in the economy, Michael, and what do you like to see happen more? It's not just the healthcare. We know that this healthcare infrastructure and industry must thrive, but how can this expand to build other sectors?
Maybe I should just
encourage more private investments.
Yes, maybe that's what I just wanted to say very quickly before Michael responds, so that it takes it together, because we're opening the doors for imported pharmaceuticals and healthcare diagnostic equipment. What if we can manufacture some of them at the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria? What if we can do it at UNN? Or if we can do it at IFE? Okay, or at Babcock University? Or at Madam Fodio in University in Sokoto?
Or Innocent even wanted to.
Or Innocent wants to. Or even a pharmaceutical company like me and Baker may say, look, well, we think we have what it takes to do some of these machines. How do they get support?
Hello?
Yeah, Michael, you can go on.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for that clear direction. It's very good that we look inwards. Everything now our economy must now be structured towards some level of self-sufficiency if we must survive. Because you see, this COVID-19 is not entirely, we cannot say it is good. However, it's not entirely a bad thing, because it's now showing some critical areas of serious failures as a nation, right? So we need to take a lot of learnings from this. And like you rightly said, we have to look at local production of things, not just pharmaceutical. We have to look at local production of at least basic things that are basic essentials. Nothing like food, drugs, even building materials to take care of our shelter, because we need to now draw it down to the personal needs. What are the basic needs of man? You say food, shelter, clothing, all the basic things have to, at least, if we can maintain 70-80% of
I think he's still trying to connect connection.
Part to economic self-sufficiency. And on the questions that you raised, I really appreciate the government quick action on the import duties, like you said, but more still have to be done. Right now, the areas I will be looking at is foreign remittances, that is remittances into the country by Nigerians or say African diaspora, right? Yeah. These are our own loyalists now. As bad as it is, people still continue to send money to Nigeria, to the family members, to friends, to relatives, and all that, right? So these guys, many of these people who still continue to send money in, some of them just sending money, okay, help me to buy land, help me to build house, help me to, some of these things, well incentivized, can also form a reasonable part of our private investment. And what do I mean by that? About 20 billion were successfully sent in, were transferred into the country as a Q4 2019 report, right? And even as of today, people are still sending money via all these different platforms. But these are still attracting heavy charges. Okay, sending money back home, you attract a lot of charges. So if government can, in a way, absorb some of this cost of fund repatriation into the country, because right now you need all the funds you can have. The government needs any fund that can come, at least, because right now crude is tending lower than the what's it called? The production cost of $22 per barrel. It would be a miracle for crude to get back to that level and even higher for that for budget to be achieved. You get to see them resizing the budget, adjusting the budget, and all of that. But right to that start today. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. As of today, everything you keep seeing in the foreign reserve is foreign reserve declining. And if you don't have funds coming in through that means, if you don't have funds coming, if you are not selling to make revenue, any other channel that is at least that is showing some form of that is still showing some form of process should not be encouraged. You have to fuel that area that gives you money so that you can sustain as a nation. And that area, as I see it, is foreign remittances into the country by Nigerians in this diaspora. They are still sending money, and they have to be incentivized to send more money, because foreigners are even looking for ways to move out their funds back to their country right now. Many funds are stuck in the Nigerian market, waiting to be moved, and that's why you see people move. That's why you see dollars going from 360, the price adjustment to 387, and then now, as at today, dollar is trading at 430, 435 in the black market. That's in the parallel market, and that is what is people are repatriating funds. So if you have options for to come into your system, I think you better encourage it.
Okay. Speaking on the issue of private capital investments, now it's a tool. Okay, remittances are part of inflows, and even the World Bank said that this year, because of COVID-19, will be adversely impacted by 20% in terms of inflows from foreign remittances. That's diaspora remittances globally. So we will also be affected. But I get your point about the fact that we need to ease it. But how can we also use private capital investments as a tool to drive foreign revenue diversification? Because this is the major thrust for Nigeria this time. We hear much about diversification of the economy, but it's more of diversifying our revenue base, because that's very key.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Me?
Yes, that's for you.
Oh, okay, beautiful. You see, the question of diversifying the foreign revenue right now is quite related, but it's not entirely lost, right?
It's not a broken
Because
record,
the way
like
I
I said.
see it is that you cannot achieve full diversification under a COVID-19 situation.
Can't, yeah.
But post-COVID, there are measures that can be taken, that you can take to adjust, to ensure that you achieve some level of diversification. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There are measures you can take post-COVID to achieve some level of diversification, and that is where I think there must be some reasonable level of coordination or say integration among even the OTC players, the OTC market, like the FMDQ OTC, like the NASD, right?
NASD OTC.
So at least, if you look at the NASD was established, as for what as their purpose of business, was created to raise capital or listed or delisted firms, right?
Yes,
but
listed
look at their list right now. You don't really find you don't really find many of these tech related startups, or even more of these new age businesses that are turning into unicorns. For instance, you have a pay stack that started a few years ago, not having any link at all. Many of these guys go abroad, practically go for any what do you call it? The form of competition, like all these incubation programs where they get seed funding, and after that, they get foreign investors. Even some of our own private equity firms that are locally based are still backed by foreign investment. Nigerians need to have what we call national loyalty and stop local insubordination, right? You have to believe in your, just like Dangote said at the Kaduna Economic Investment Summit. If Nigerians will not invest in Nigeria first, foreigners will not invest in Nigeria. So we have to look for a way around this thing to encourage Nigerians to invest, and as well as encourage these structured OTC exchange platforms to include rising new age businesses, that have potential for great growth, right?
Yeah.
Nasdaq is estimated recently. I'm not sure if it is okay by you for me to be mentioning names of this, if it's not an advert for them, right? But I'm just saying it to clarify. Like Nasdaq is estimated to be on a multiple of 10, and these guys are not linked to any structured exchange.
I get your point.
All these things have to be done. There has to be a way to link so that people can. We don't just keep recirculate. We don't just continue repeating cycles of old companies, age firms, these new companies. Foreigners are taking a lot of advantage of these new entities that are springing up in this country. These people that we really don't believe, we are afraid. I understand that Nigerians are faced with a lot of uncertainty, and the natural Nigerian disposition in any investment is I don't want to take any risk that will lose my money. I understand, but at the same time, we need to still try in every way possible to ensure that Nigerians adopt the culture of investing in private business, directly productive activity, and engaging businesses that are real with good quality potentials.
Yeah, I hear you very well, Mr. Micah, and even just to let you know that from the regulatory side, the Securities and Exchange Commission had this first ever fintech roadmap, identifying the fact that the fintech industry is a very vibrant and dynamic hub that will really contribute to our economy. So they've launched that roadmap, and definitely that will be a vehicle to. Then the Nigeria Stock Exchange has the growth board, which is looking at bringing in companies like he's talking about that have those immense potentials. And even the NSD has the enterprise platform.
I think
so it's got to leverage those and then deepen the
I think what Michael is speaking to, and these initiatives talk about the SEC, the NSC, the NESD, and all that are really good. But we need to take a second look at the whole thing. And I've had this conversation over time, over the last recent years. If you look at the New York Stock Exchange and you look at the NASDAQ, if you look at the NASDAQ as a techie exchange, okay? So all techie, 99.999% techie. Now, you can see how that exchange, the NASDAQ, complements the New York Stock Exchange.
Yes.
And complements the guys in Chicago, which are the options, the CBOE, the CBOT, and the rest of them. So you're looking at an account. And why do you base the Chicago Board of Exchange in the exchange? Because that's close to the center of commodities in the United States, agro-commodities, beef, cattle, chicken, everything else, soybean, whatever. And so you have that there. Then you have the New York Stock Exchange, which came primarily through equities, right? Then you have the NASDAQ, which is techie. So it helps the guys in Seattle, the guys in the Silicon Valley, and the rest of them. And you can see that because of that exchange, of its uniqueness, you've seen an implosion of technology companies in
they are the dominant
and they've created so much wealth that I'm not sure anyone has written a book about how NASDAQ how NASDAQ has created wealth and helped the guys Zoom, Twitter, Amazon and the rest of them, Facebook and all of that, become what they are today, including Microsoft and the early birds and the Dell and the rest of them and all of that. So I think it is time for us to take a second look at the whole securities market architecture and see if the time has come, and I think the time has really come, for us to put the securities market behind the moves by the fiscal authorities to see that we leverage science and technology
should be now in the mainstream.
and creative financing via fintech, blockchain, whatever. Yeah. So, and that will open up a whole new securities market that is so young and dynamic than the ones like those of us who are dinosaurs already know or we grew up with. Yeah. So that my kids and your kids don't grow up to the same old exchanges or securities market, but a new one that will drive the next generation of innovation, science, engineering, innovation in healthcare, innovation in fintech, innovation in computer or whatever. And we all bring it all together to have a new wealth creation securities market. Maybe the SEC should lead that. Because the entire plan and move by the government to say, let's mainstream ICT, let's mainstream science and tech, and what have you, even in industry, trade, and investment and across board, will not work. Look at everything that Mobolaji, Mrs. Mobolaji Johnson did, while she was in office. Quite a lot of work did. Ernest Ndukwe did his own, and others have done. So you've seen the last 20 years or thereabout, we've done so much in this area. FinTech Nigeria is also at the forefront of this
engagement.
Thank you. Now, where is the securities market?
There needs to be in the mainstream of this.
That there has to be to take these guys on. That will take on this even crowdfunding. Yeah. So that the level playing field that Michael talked about, not a field without regulation, but a field that is lowered such that everybody can play the ball. Say you can play ball on the field behind the house in Ajegule. You don't need to go to the Olympic Stadium, the one in London or National Stadium. No, but you are enjoying football at the local level. Yes. Now with the stay at home, you can do it in your living room. Just mind your curved TV that you don't break it down. You can do it within you can do a lot of things. But if we keep sticking with the old mentality of Broad Street, we'll never create a new Broad Street. We need to create a new financial center for Nigeria, and it will benefit everyone at the end of it all.
Yes, it will.
So because the energy of the young people in Nigeria creating apps, creating software for banks,
software industry
is booming. You have the guys with the PayPal, you have the guys who did the what do you call this accounting process for the government. And the rest of them.
Budgets.
Yes, and the budgets, you need e-governance.
Like he's mentioned.
All these guys are big companies. Some of them are small, very innovative, but they have no market to go to. So you can't raise private capital. So if you formalizes it in a way for them, it gives confidence to people like Michael who has deep pockets, a lot of money, and who can raise money to come in and say, well, this market is more formal. Yeah. If you create the market today, I assure you, you will have thousands. Just ask all the tech guys to step forward today in their jeans and T-shirts. You'll be shocked what you see from Aba, from Lagos, from Kano, from Ibadan. You'll be shocked what you see from Abuja. You'll be shocked. You'll see guys out of Computer Village. Yes. And in Yaba and Computer Village in Abuja, you'll see the guys that will come massively. Guys are doing a lot of things from their 3-bedroom flats. Yeah. So we need to put that sugar out there on the securities market and let all of them come out of their coves and embrace it. That will create the tax that will go to the government, the job creation that will come out of it, the window that it will open to the global investors to say, oh, Nigeria has this new window. And when we say we should harness our youth, it's not about giving them job at the local government or the state secretariat. Excuse me. No. Listen how our young people were climbing fences in Abuja last year. Was it not all over viral? When some government agencies they said they should submit applications. Some of them were climbing windows so dangerously. But you'll be surprised that these guys have one computer, two computers at home, and they were doing quite a lot, but they're looking for a formal job. Now imagine so many millions of others that have know what it takes to submit, and they have this brain. So you don't need to work for XY Bank in London or in Singapore or whatever before you can come to the market. We need to have a market of the people, for the people, by the people, especially for the youth and the young population who sit down here. Now, I'm not sure if the visits by Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Ma, I don't think that those visits are lost. I'm not sure those visits are lost on us. Maybe the significance of those visits are lost on our folks on the financial markets. I'm sure those visits by Google, Google Africa, Google Nigeria, then you have Yahoo Nigeria, whatever. Now, I'm not sure if those visits by these big, deep guys in the fintech world or technology, ICT, I'm sure those visits must have been lost on some of us. That they can see the potentials, they can see the money, they can see the brain, they can see the creativity. So why don't you just take it from them and say, hey guys, come here. We have this platform for you. Come here, almost at ground zero entry point. And everybody's in.
Easy entry.
Simple. Then you start setting little rules that makes everybody behave. Just make sure that nobody walks away with anybody's money. Simple. So if you're wearing jeans and T-shirt, we don't want to see you the next day with Gucci and Italian. Well, they should buy those things when they've made money, but not with investors' money. That's just the caveat I have there. Michael.
Okay, Michael, in a few minutes, I've heard that, of course, you have the deep pockets, your folks, your colleagues too have the deep pockets. We saw what Sequoia Capital has done as a private equity firm in transforming the American markets. So what will you be looking at in terms of the future of private investments? What are those sectors that you and your folks would like to invest more to unlock our economy?
We have said a lot that if well taken, if well followed, if well held on to, would shape the future just the way we want. Like Bosi mentioned earlier, that you have
the NASDAQ, right, supporting the New York Stock Exchange. In fact, at the center of tech, we need that in the country. We need that right here, such that it completely eliminates this information asymmetries that surrounds private capital investment. Because you tend to know that it will be funny that sometimes investment opportunities will show up. The firm that requires funding with a brilliant idea is right at a corner, speaking to someone trying to help them market their idea. The firm trying, their advisor, maybe some form of financial advisory system, trying to market them, is also bringing some form of interest into that, and that interest is becoming like a bottleneck. It's becoming a problem to allowing access to funding for the firm that really needs funding.
So you see, such platform, such an exchange, we blow open, like you said. You can play, even someone in computer village can get investment into his business. Even you can invest in any business. You just have to look up, just like you go on the Nigerian exchange market, right? And you look up and you see stocks, you buy anyone you want, you sell anyone you want. There should be something like that blows everything open, and it has to happen. Yeah. It has to happen for private equity investments to come mainstream. That has to happen. Okay?
Okay.
And also, hello?
I can hear you.
Also, when you look at re-engineering the repatriated fund,
yes.
You see, all these are loot that we say, okay, Abacha loot 200 and something million recovered, $530 million recovered from this, and then you pick up the money, share it to the poor. My brothers, listen very carefully. If you give a poor person money, you have only fed that poor person for a few days, because it's just going to put that money to buy food, and that's it. So is the person, if that's the only means of livelihood that you are going to create for that person, does that mean the person now have to wait for another week to recover before the person gets fined? You know, all these things have to be looked at holistically. You cannot. So my opinion is that some of those kind of funds should be pushed into private investment. This private investment constitutes about 80% or even 90% of the entire business arena of the country. The blue chip companies, the high-end organizations are just less than 2 to 3%. You know, so the SMEs, these small companies that require this private capital, are the ones that will employ those active poor that you think you want to be dashed 10,000, 20,000. In my opinion, it makes absolutely no economic sense to be dashing out money to people without any hope of continuity.
Okay.
Because in economies like the US or elsewhere where you giving cash handout, these folks have jobs. They had fixed jobs. They had fixed jobs already.
Out for at the pandemic period.
Thank you.
Not the one that happened before the election that we all saw in this country. Some called it other names. I don't want to go into any controversial discussion. But you know, saying that you choose to distribute repatriated funds, no, that is not the way to go. The economic team has to come up with a holistic plan that can ensure continuity. Say, okay, you have this brilliant idea, we'll give you so money, we attach so many, we attach this amount of people to your business for you to hire, and then run the business, ensure that you keep in employment. You know, those are the kinds of measures that ensures continuity, not some distribute money that I don't know any one person that has received the money, and I'm not being controversial. I'm not being
Fortunately,
honest,
Michael, fortunately, this repatriated fund, this last one, is not going to be shared. It's going to the Presidential Infrastructure Fund with the NSIA. So it's not being
This last tranche goes in saying the $311 million.
Yes,
is going to the Presidential Infrastructure Fund.
Yeah, via
covering
NSIA.
projects like the second Niger Bridge.
So maybe the next one after this, yes. I'm not sure if there's any money left outside there, but I'm sure there should be. Maybe the next one should come straight to Michael and his team for private sector distribution for those who want to invest. This tranche we are getting now is going to presidential infrastructure via maybe the next one. Well, maybe after the presidency and the government they are listening. Government officials are listening. The next one will come to private sector investment. We'll make a case for you guys next time. But I'm not sure anyone is being shared anymore. And I'm not too sure moving forward.
Boost the economy because no matter how deep we look at this thing, we know that if people at the bottom of the pyramid are rich, trust me, even security problem is solved. Even a lot of problems will be solved because the people at the bottom of the pyramid are well taken care of. And that is the case I'm trying to make here. That there are some things that government have to just have a plan. And it's not supposed to just be for the Buhari government. It's not supposed to just be for the President Buhari government. It's supposed to be successive government have to learn to adopt continuity of policies, continuity of structure, so that you don't say, oh, Buhari did this. When I become president, I just jump it off and start money. No, it doesn't work like that. So it means you will start afresh your whole idea, and when you start afresh, by the time you get it to some form of stability level, you exit, another person comes in, they kick it off again, the person starts afresh. So nothing gets done. So we need to protect our future by ensuring that we adopt many of all these points that we have raised today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael Abayomi Osho, Group Managing Director, CEO, Asset and Equity Company Limited. You've really raised the need for us to ensure that if we're going to get private capital investments, the securities, the financial market regulators must be keen in it, policymakers must integrate it in planning, because that's one avenue major avenue we can really unlock our economy and address the issue of poverty and unemployment. And Mr. Boson.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Boson Mofaye, CEO of Frontier Africa Reports.
Thank you. Michael on point.
The need for the financial market regulators to be brought to the mainstream. The financial market has to be key.
It's good we have Michael on this morning.
Yes,
it's very rare to have those who knows how to make money and spend it at the same time.
So
you can hardly stop them talking.
Yes. Michael, keep making the money and putting in those key sectors that would make it work. Thank you very much. And that will be all for the market review today. We had Mr. Michael Abayomi Osho, Group Managing Director, Asset and Equity Company Limited, discussing the COVID-19 implications for private investments for Nigeria. And Mr. Boson Mofaye, CEO of Frontier Africa Reports, was here with us in the studio. We'll continue our conversation tomorrow, but for the meantime, you can join our website, www.proshareng.com, to get more news, analysis, and reports. Also, this period, ProShare has the platform Corona Central Watch, and for you to get data and analysis on COVID-19 and the impacts on Nigeria, log on to www.proshareng.com/COVID-19 and you get all those information analysis you need. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.